Good evening, I am Jarvis Bunny with your VON Major News Package for today, Wednesday, 30th October 2019. In our lead stories nationally, St. Kitts hosts first regional male nurses conference, and Prime Minister Harris says Dr. Douglas's double salary comment a frantic move. Regionally, St. Lucia government provides VAT relief to local manufacturers. Internationally, UK leaders in pre-election clash over NHS, Brexit and economy. And in sports, demonstrations on Bangladesh streets over Shakib Al Hassan's suspension. We'll have the details of these and other stories after this short break.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, Vaughan.
Welcome back and now on to the national news in detail. Male nurses, why not? That was the theme for the first regional male nurses conference, which was held in St. Kitts at the Ocean Terrace Inn from October 24th to the 26th. The event was organized by the Retired Energetic Nurses Touching Our Lives rental and was attended by health professionals, male students and other stakeholders. Minister of State with Responsibility for Health, the Honorable Wendy Phipps, spoke of how the public views male nurses and the notion that is portrayed.
It seems to convey some sort of effeminate nomenclature or tag to an individual when they say they want to be a nurse. And I think that has created a barrier, a brick wall of sorts, to young men who otherwise would like to have a career of service from entering the profession. So that is an issue that must be overcome. The other issue that must be overcome, some persons regard male nurses as the people you call to when you need to do the heavy lifting. And that is unfortunate, but of course it offers a help.
The Honorable Wendy Phipps. Meantime, Senior Minister and Minister of Labour in St. Kitts, the Honorable Vance Amory, also spoke at the Male Nurses Conference on behalf of Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris.
As human beings, if we apply ourselves and if we seek to acquire the competent training, one can put his hands to anything. And I think nursing is one such. We cannot find persons to enter the nursing profession. We cannot find persons to enter the police profession. But then when one has to employ others from external sources, then you have another kind of argument. The governments of St. Kitts and Nevis have invested very heavily in educating our people. And I think it's important that we begin to disavow our people. When in other countries we have persons who are male nurses, 11% in Australia, why not St. Kitts and Nevis?
The Honorable Vance Amory. Nevis has 2 male nurses, while in St. Kitts there are 14 males. 11 of the 14 men are registered nurses. On Wednesday, 2nd October, while speaking at a Labour press conference, Leader of the Opposition, Dr. the Honourable Denzel Douglas, questioned the Prime Minister's granting of a 4th consecutive double salary. Prime Minister Dr. the Honourable Timothy Harris, speaking at a national consultation on the Federation's economy on Tuesday, 8th October, at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort, explained that the decision was made due to a 5th consecutive year of growth in the economy. Dr. Douglas, speaking at the press conference, said that this granting of a double salary is a political stunt by the Harris-led Team Unity government in an effort to win the next general election constitutionally due in early 2020 and to destabilize the Labour Party. Prime Minister Harris has responded to the allegation by Dr. Douglas, calling the move frantic.
This is an act of desperation by a man who never managed the country well, hoping to fool people, but people are wiser than he is now.
Dr. Harris further substantiated his argument by stating that it was the Denzel Douglas-led Labour administration that put the Federation in economic turmoil.
This was a man who has been in office for some 20 years. Ask him how many times he paid double salary. There's nothing about his management of the country that reflects that he trust him to make wise decisions. He was the one who took us to the IMF, and as a consequence of that, he denied civil servants increases 3 years, their increment. So the only thing he has done 3 times in relation to these matters is that 3 times he denied them unilaterally their increments which were due to them. And more than 3 times he denied the non-establishment workers their right to their holiday pay, which is stopped. That is what we must judge his statement now.
Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris. Deputy Leader of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party SKNLP, the Honorable Marcella Liburd, has also weighed in on the fire which damaged the office of her party's counterpart for constituency number 4, His Excellency Steve Rensford.
In the wee hours of election morning 2015, my constituency office was set on fire. All of my materials for the election that very morning were burnt. Up to now, I haven't gotten a report from that fire. This is election morning, so you must understand all that we had to do in order to get ourselves ready still for the same election day. In 2017, Congress office was also on fire. And I think it's 2018, we had a billboard that was erected close to Jeffrey Handley's house, and that was also set on fire. That was also attempting to burn Jeffrey's place as well. So I think these are just all coincidences. I don't know. But I guess that for my constituency office was set on fire, Congress, now Steve and Jeffrey's place, I don't see how it could be other than political. And I'm just saying it's very strange coincidences that only our office is being burnt.
Minister Liburd explained that after investigations were said to be completed, they have inquired about the results on numerous occasions, but have to this date not been provided with the finding of the said investigation. The deputy leader also noted that her party will not be intimidated by these attacks on their constituency offices, etc., while urging the public not to engage in these forms of activities.
I do not believe that people should allow themselves to be used to carry out these nefarious acts, because the families of the people who are in the government, they're not going to do it, but they will pay other people to go and do it. So I would just encourage these people not to allow themselves to be used by these people. Let them carry out their own nefarious acts by themselves and let their families carry them out. Maybe they think they could intimidate us, but they're wasting their time.
The Honorable Marcella Liburd. Amidst the accusation against Team Unity, Prime Minister and leader of the Team Unity administration, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, in speaking to the VOA Newsland on Tuesday, October 29th, distanced his administration from the attack and denounced any such activity. Police has issued a statement debunking an article published online which made false claims about an incident at the prison farm here on Nevis on Saturday, October 26th. The VOA Newsland obtained an article that was circulating on social media platform Facebook which stated, and I quote, "Police in Nevis were reportedly called in to deal with an operational matter at the prison farm in Nevis on Saturday night. The police were called to the prison compound due to continuing poor management operations there. It is being suggested that the incident involved the chief officer not complying with prison rules," end quote. However, a statement from the police force says, and I quote, "Given the inaccurate information contained in the article, it is apparent that it was deliberately written with the intent to deceive the public. The Commissioner of Corrections was never contacted before the malicious statement was issued. As a result, the management of HMP publicly denounces this malicious report to portray the prison system in a less than favorable light," end quote. According to the statement, it is completely untrue that the chief officer at the farm was involved in the matter. In relation to the accusations of continuing poor management operations at the farm, Commissioner of Corrections Mr. Terence James dismisses this accusation as ludicrous. The Commissioner takes this opportunity to place on record his satisfaction with the management of the prison farm. In police news, lawmen here on Nevis is conducting investigations into a traffic accident that took place on the island today, Wednesday, 30th October. The accident is reported to have occurred this morning sometime after 8 o'clock in Upper Stony Grove. According to information received by the VOA Newsland thus far, both vehicles collided while heading to Charlestown. Following the collision, both vehicles came to a stop on the right side of the road. There are no reports of serious injuries to any of the parties. The VOA Newsline will bring you more on this story as it develops. The Royal St. Christopher Nevis Police Force remains committed to keeping law and order here in the Federation. A release from the force indicates that 2 males in the Twin Island nation have been charged for rape. The 2 males, who hail from Barstay in St. Kitts, were formally charged for the offence on Friday 25th October 2019. The offence for which they are charged for, according to the communique, occurred on August 12, 2019. Both men are currently in police custody. As St. Kitts and Nevis near the completion of the last quarter of 2019, the Ministry and Department of Agriculture continues to encourage the populace to engage in healthy eating. Director of Agriculture in St. Kitts, Mr. Melvin James, says this can be done by eating locally and supporting farmers in the Federation.
I really want to encourage us to eat local because healthiness, a lot of times, local translates into more healthy. Because one, you have higher pesticide residues from imported food. You have greater manipulation of the imported food. And when you look down the road, there are a lot of health complications.
Director James also pointed out that a collaborative initiative between both departments will be rolled out in the near future. This program, he said, is to have more food provided by local producers in order to satisfy the population and reduce importation of certain agricultural products.
The Director Nevis and I have been in constant discussion about engaging the importers and giving them the confidence that our local farmers will be able to produce certain commodities at certain times and that we will give them good, wholesome food at reasonable prices so that they can offer quality food, local quality food, to our consumers, to our population on a more consistent basis. And we're saying to us all, having produced it, we ask that you don't waste it, but rather you buy what is local first and foremost. It's better, and therefore let's treat it as precious, no wastage to as much as is possible.
Mr. Melvin James. And lastly, in our national news segment, Ministers of Agriculture of 34 countries in the Americas are in San Jose, Costa Rica this week to discuss pivotal issues for a sector that is key to the world's food supply and whose development is an essential requirement for combating food insecurity and large-scale migration. Ministers of Agriculture, the Honorable Eugene Hamilton and the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, are representing the Federation at the conference, which ends tomorrow, October 31st. The agenda for the Conference of Ministers of Agriculture of the Americas 2019 includes issues such as rural inclusion in the digital era, striking a balance between productivity and sustainability, and the interaction among health, safety, and international trade, all key elements for the hemisphere's agricultural sector. Costa Rica's President Carlos Alvarado, in welcoming the delegations, said the challenges are daunting because the population is growing, we are faced with climate change, and we must ensure that young people continue to work in agricultural production and offer sustainable, healthy options for life. The meeting will provide an important opportunity to engage in dialogue and enable governments to forge partnerships with the private sector. And that's the national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com, or you can check us out on Facebook at Von Radio or our Von Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. News from across the region is next.
Life can be more fulfilling when we take the time out to smell the roses. And that's why your friends and family at the Bank of Nevis are experts at picking the flowers that best describe you. Whether you're planning to treat yourself after a long work week or finally getting around to that closet update, you deserve all the special things that life has to offer. And the Bond Visa card is here to help you achieve it. With just a swipe, you can turn a last-minute lunch date with friends and family into something worth remembering with memories that will last a lifetime. Pampering yourself just got a whole lot easier. And after all, you deserve every refreshing moment of it. The ability to make your travel arrangements at your own convenience, whether by sea or by air, now rests within the palm of your hand. With a single swipe, the Bond Visa card can put a world of difference between life and truly living. Whereas the only limit you may have is your own imagination. Apply today. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life.
Welcome back and now on to the regional news. The government of St. Lucia continues to provide tax relief to the business sector, this time targeting local manufacturers. Prime Minister Alan Chasney moved a motion in the House of Assembly on Tuesday, October 29th for an amendment to the Value Added Tax VAT Act to zero rate the service of printing. In introducing the amendment, the Prime Minister said educational supplies as defined under the Value Added Tax Act, Chapter 15.42 VAT Act, such as newspapers, books, etc., are treated as exempt supplies under the second schedule of the VAT Act. He added that when those same items are, however, produced or printed locally for a third party, the production or printing thereof is treated as a service and subjected to the standard rate of VAT. According to Prime Minister Chasney, the fact is that those items can be imported and have no VAT on them, yet if those items are produced in St. Lucia, they are VATable. We truly believe that this was an error. The Prime Minister further explained that since the VAT Act exempts the importation of such goods and that similar goods are subject to VAT when produced in St. Lucia, this is viewed as rendering the service of printing in St. Lucia more expensive than the cost of importing a similar printing service. St. Lucia NewsOnline.com says the amendment was unanimously supported by members on the government and opposition sides. Barbados' debt exchange deal reached with foreign creditors last week will see it having to issue bonds valued a little over $1 billion. A bond is a fixed income instrument that represents a loan made by an investor to a borrower. A bond could be thought as an IOU between the lender and borrower that includes the details of the loan and its payments. Governments and corporations commonly use bonds in order to borrow money. According to nationnews.com, Minister of Finance Ryan Strawn said the overall deal was worth it since it would save the economy $5 billion over the next 4 years. The U.S. $547 million bond was broken down in the House of Assembly on Monday by Strawn during debate on the debt holder approval of Debt Restructuring Validation Bill 2019. Out of Jamaica, 2 men were arrested after the Jamaica Defense Force Coast Guard intercepted their vessel off the coast of Negril, Westmoreland, and the men have been identified as 36-year-old Shamar Hamilton, a taxi operator of Smithfield in Westmoreland, and 32-year-old Perry Denmark of Runway Bay in St. Anne. According to the Jamaica Constabulary Force's Corporate Communications Unit CCU, the vessel was searched about 3 p.m. that's actually last Tuesday, and approximately 650 pounds of compressed ganja was found on board. The drug has an estimated street value of $2.6 million in Jamaican currency, the CCU said. In the Bahamas, little has changed as the island nation struggles to rebuild nearly 2 months after Hurricane Dorian hammered the country, killed dozens of people and leveled homes. CCTVnews.ca says rebuilding efforts have yet to start, leaving thousands of people without a place to live. Many have sought refuge in nearby Florida. Dorian, the most powerful storm on record to hit the island chain, killed at least 61 people and left thousands homeless. According to CCTVnews.ca, the government has banned rebuilding on sites of former shanty towns. And last, in our regional news segment, out of Antigua and Barbuda, legal representatives for suspended Commissioner of Police Wendell Robinson and the Police Service Commission PSC will resume a hearing to determine the Commissioner's fate on Thursday, November 14th. This was decided after the initial hearing on this termination was held on Friday, October 25th. The final decision on Robinson's termination from his post as Commissioner of the Royal Police Force of Antigua and Barbuda and the Fire Brigade was expected to be handed down tomorrow, October 31st. However, Antigua Observer says that Robinson had submitted a sixth certificate and required more time so that he could answer to each specific allegation made against him in a letter from the PSC. And that's it for our regional news segment. Stay with us for news around the world. Welcome back, and now on to the international news. UK's Prime Minister Boris Johnson and leader of the opposition, Jeremy Corbyn, have clashed over the National Health Service NHS, Brexit and leadership at the final Prime Minister's questions before the general election. The Labour leader said voters had a once-in-a-generation chance to save the NHS, which was in greater danger than at any time in its history. Ms. Corbyn accused the government of preparing to sell off the NHS to US corporations.
The US has called for full market access to our NHS, which would mean prices of some of our most important medicines increasing by up to sevenfold.
But Mr. Johnson accused Mr. Corbyn of offering political disaster.
For the last 9 years, this economy has been growing, and he would ruin this economy and ruin our ability to fund the NHS, and that is the reality.
John Witherspoon, an actor and comedian best known for his role in the Friday movie franchise and other hit films and television shows including The Tracy Morgan Show, The Wayans Brothers and The Boondocks, died on Tuesday at the age of 77, NYTimes.com says. His death was reported by the Associated Press, but no cause was given. In a statement to the entertainment site Deadline, Mr. Witherspoon's family said he had died at his home in Sherman Oaks, California. Mr. Witherspoon had been expected to play the role again in the final chapter of the series last Friday, Deadline reported. Democrats in the U.S. House of Representatives have published a resolution setting out the next steps in their impeachment efforts against President Donald Trump. The motion sets out a more public phase of the inquiry and hands the lead role in hearings to the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, Adam Schiff. The House, controlled by the Democrats, will vote on the measure on Thursday. A White House spokeswoman said the resolution was an illegitimate sham. This vote to make the impeachment process public is about the procedure and not a ballot on whether or not to impeach the president. Republicans have criticized Democrats for the closed hearings up to this point, in which Republican lawmakers have also taken part, but Democrats insist they were needed to gather evidence ahead of the public stage of the inquiry. President Trump is accused of trying to pressure Ukraine into investigating unsubstantiated corruption claims against his political rival Joe Biden and his son, who worked with Ukrainian gas company Burisma. And PSA Group, the French owner of Peugeot, is exploring a merger with its US-Italian rival Fiat Chrysler, it has confirmed. A deal between the two car makers would create a business with a combined market value of nearly $50 billion. The BBC's Andrew Walker gives us more.
The motor industry is facing some serious technological and regulatory challenges. It's moving towards vehicles that generate much lower levels of unwanted emissions and also self-driving technology. These are transitions that require massive investment, and larger companies will be better placed to fund it. The new talks would bring together firms currently worth about $46 billion, but PSA has a major Chinese shareholder, so a link with FCA, a US and Italian multinational business, is likely to raise some concerns in Washington.
And that brings us to the end of our news segment. The latest in sports is next.
Let TDC Financial Services help you go for your goals. Whether you're thinking of taking that grand vacation, down payment on a house, higher education, TDC Financial Services has various plans that will allow you to go for your goals. Choose from the Accumulator Plus, Investment Starter Plan, and Fixed Deposit. Ready to go for your goals? Visit us at TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
Welcome back, and now on to the sports. In cricket, demonstrations, that's actually hundreds of people have protested in Bangladesh after cricketer Shakib Al Hasan was banned for 2 years for failing to report corrupt approaches. Shakib, Bangladesh's Test and 2020 captain, accepted 3 charges relating to requests for inside information for betting purposes. About 700 people took to the streets in Shakib's hometown Magura, with smaller demonstrations taking place in Dhaka. Police say crowds made a human chain and called the ban a conspiracy. Shakib, 32, is the top all-rounder in the one-day international rankings and has played 338 matches for Bangladesh. 1 year of Shakib's ban is suspended, meaning he will be able to return to the sport on October 29, 2020. He failed to report approaches during an international tri-series also involving Sri Lanka and Zimbabwe in January 2018 and that year's Indian Premier League. Still in cricket, England lost their second 2020 warm-up match against New Zealand 11 by 8 wickets as Kiwi opener Colin Munro smashed an unbeaten century. The scores were as follows: England won 88 for 5 in 20 overs, Vince 46, Denley 39, Verma 3 for 46. New Zealand 11 won 92 for 2 in 18.3 overs, Munro 107, Parkinson 1 for 38. New Zealand 11 won by 8 wickets. In local sports, the Maude Cross Preparatory School went up against the Nevis Academy as the Ministry of Education and Department of Sports Primary School Football League continued at the E.T. Willett Park on Tuesday, October 29th. The final scores were Nevis Academy 2, Maude Cross Preparatory 0. Still in local sports, the SDA Jets went up against the GT United team in a matchup on Sunday, October 27th as the Sports Department Development Bank Tape Ball Cricket League continued. GT United won the toss and elected to send the Jets in to bat first. The Jets scored 46 from the allotted 10 overs and beat the Jets to qualify for the semi-finals. That's actually the 3 teams that will be featured in the semi-finals are Rollins, All-Stars and GT United. There are 3 teams vying for the final spot, namely Calypso, Easterns and SDA Jets, all on 6 points. In basketball, the LA Clippers have extended the contracts of guards Landry Shamet and Jerome Robinson. The team on Tuesday exercised with 30 options on both players. Shamet was acquired by Los Angeles in a mid-season trade with Philadelphia last winter. He has averaged 9.2 points and shot 42% from three-point range since being selected with the 26th pick in the 2018 NBA draft. In tennis, Switzerland's Roger Federer has withdrawn from the inaugural ATP Cup in January for family reasons. The 20-time Grand Slam champion's decision means Switzerland no longer qualify for the 24-team event. And that's it for sports. The weather is next. Welcome back. Tonight's weather will continue to be partly cloudy with a slight chance of showers. The winds are east-northeast at 8 to 12 knots. The seas are 1.5 meters or 5 feet. The sunrise tomorrow will be at 9 past 6 a.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Wednesday, 30th October 2019. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, St. Kitts hosts first regional male nurses conference, and Prime Minister Harris says Dr. Douglas's double salary comment a frantic move. Regionally, St. Lucia government provides VAT relief to local manufacturers. Internationally, UK leaders in pre-election clash over NHS, Brexit and economy. And in sports, demonstrations on Bangladesh streets over Shakib Al Hasan's suspension. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Jarvis Brown wishing you a pleasant evening.